Now that Nick Bosa is out for the year, how much falls on the shoulders of Brock Purdy to get this team over the hump, or at least convince them that not all is lost? Plus, Levin Black just admitted sometimes he's a basic bitch. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Levin Black. Levin, how you doing on this fine Wednesday?
I could do without your toxic masculinity.
You're just
Hey, White Claw, sponsor us. We'll be basic bitches for you.
So here's what happened, okay? I'm drinking a beer. Levin's drinking something. He says, "What are you drinking?" I said, "I'm drinking Sam Adams Harvest Hells." I said, "What are you drinking?" He said, "White Claw." I said, "Man, you really are a basic bitch." And you said,
"Sometimes I am, and that's fine by me."
Yep.
I am not somebody that lacks confidence to be myself. I've always been the person that had their own sense of fashion and did not care if people liked what I was wearing or not. I've always been the type of person that if I like something, then I'm going to enjoy it, whether it's music tastes or food tastes. I don't care what other people think.
That explains your general wardrobe most of the time.
Ah, yes. I do not copy other people, especially fictional characters from children's movies. I do not try to dress like them. I do not go around saying howdy partner to try to mimic them.
I don't say howdy. I don't dress like Woody. I dare you. I want to be clear about that since people might get the wrong idea with some of
I do not put snakes in my boot just to try to be more like somebody.
There's a snake in my boots. All right. Anyway, let's dive into it. It is week 4. The Niners are 3-0. A lot going on with this team right now. I have a Brock Purdy theory. Plus, I want to play a little fact or fiction with you, which I haven't run any of the questions by you. I'm completely blindsiding you. So I leave it up to you. Do you want to hear my Brock Purdy theory first, or do you want to go fact or fiction?
Let's do theory, because currently I'm working on a theory from our comments. One poster says, "All my homies love Levin Black," but he has the name of a former coworker. I seriously doubt he's watching this because he's a Broncos fan. But I do wonder if that's maybe a former coworker.
Oh, there you go. Maybe it is. Regardless, you never know who's watching, right? All right. So here is my Brock Purdy theory. Remember way back in 2022, Brock Purdy comes in, right? He comes in for the injured Jimmy Garoppolo, who came in for the injured Trey Lance. And Brock has talked about this, and you could clearly see in his play on the field, the way he was so demonstrative, that he wanted to send the message to his teammates that despite the fact that he was a rookie, despite the fact that he was QB3, he could come in there and they could still achieve all the goals they wanted to achieve. He needed to inspire that belief in them that year that all was not lost because of the quarterback injuries. And I believe, by the way, he did. I think if you gave the 49ers truth serum, or maybe you don't even need truth serum, if you ask them if Brock is healthy, do they beat the Eagles and go to the Super Bowl that year? They probably say yes. So I think mission accomplished by Brock that year from that perspective. I think he's got to do the same thing this year with the Bosa injury. I think he's got to rally the troops again. I think he's got to show them, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it's a big loss. Yeah, we're going to feel it. But we could still do this thing, even though we're young, even though we have all these injuries. And it's not just Bosa. It's other people too. Bosa obviously being the biggest and most severe. But I think he's got to rally them again. I think it's a very difficult needle to thread, Levin, because what did he talk about going into this season? Oh, I can't be Superman. I can't put on the Superman cape. I got to get back to just doing, get on my reads and be more sort of mechanical in that way. And I think it's going to be very difficult for him to do both of those things at the same time.
I think the simple fact is that the Super Bowl window for this season has shut unless one thing happens. The offense becomes like the 2019 offense that was a top 5 scoring offense. The offense has to pick it up. The defense, there will be games where Nick Bosa being out will be a much bigger deal. I think there's a lot of games where it doesn't matter a whole heck of a lot, but when it really is going to matter is playoffs and against really good teams. That's when you really need a difference maker because you're likely going against a really good quarterback. So you need to have consistent pressure. The simple fact is that they're not going to be at the level that they need to be at, and they're going to have to be able to win some shootouts. If they want to win the Super Bowl, they're going to have to win at least one game in the playoffs that's just a complete shootout. Can they do it? I don't know, because honestly, we're seeing a lot of the same stuff from the offense, and I know Purdy's been out, and a lot of people are not healthy. So that is why I have hope that it can happen. But so far in the red zone, they have scored 5 touchdowns on 11 possessions. That's kind of what we've been seeing out of the Kyle Shanahan offensively. So, like, I have some concerns, but I also have some hope because people can get healthy and they haven't lost anybody long-term on the offense.
That is true so far, although knock on wood. Somebody in the comments said, I don't remember the 2019 team being so high scoring. People have forgotten. The 2019 49ers scored 30 points a game. That was second in the league behind the Ravens that scored 33. So they were high scoring. We may not remember it, but you're spot on, Levin. That 2019 team put up more points per game than anybody in the conference, and only the Ravens scored more. And they're going to need to pick it up this year for sure. The question is, will they ever get the chance to? I think if Aiyuk, Kittle, McCaffrey and Pearsall are there, I think they could. I don't think that's like a pie in the sky thing where I'm looking at this through rose-colored glasses. I think they have the personnel and the scheme to do it. The question is whether all the Avengers will ever assemble.
Well, I mean, that's the big question every single year with the 49ers. We already know the answer. Not all of the Avengers are going to assemble because Bosa's out, but all the Avengers could assemble on offense where they can carry this team. So far, this team has won 3 games because of the defense.
Yes.
I mean, that's a simple fact. They need to have games where the offense is winning, and I would say the offense is going to have to win more often than the defense now. And I hate to say, this is a critical juncture, because you can always make that argument at any point in the season. Ooh, this is a critical juncture. But, you talked about, Purdy has to show everybody, hey, we're still that team that we thought we were.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they go out and they lose to the Jags and they go out and then they have the Rams on a Thursday night and lose that game.
Yep.
You're suddenly, I think, starting to have some doubt creep in.
Yes.
Maybe we can't do this without him. So I think it's really important for them to get at least one win. Obviously, if they lose to the Jags, that's not helpful. But if they follow it up by beating the Rams on a primetime game, then they forget about that Jaguars game. It's just if they follow up a Jaguars letdown game because they're 3-0 and they let down against the Jags while they're looking ahead to a short week Thursday game against their division rival at this point. I think the Rams, with the McVay connection and everything, are the biggest rival in the division, in my opinion.
Yep.
I think that is very much a trap game for the 49ers. They need to take care of business, I think, in one of these games. Otherwise, I will be probably saying, they're 3-2, but I think you can put a fork in them. Maybe they still get a wild card, but I don't expect any big things from the team. They got to get one of these wins. And if they get the win against the Jaguars, I think that would be a really helpful thing, because you're 4-0. Now you're riding high, and you can sit here and say, we lost Bosa and we didn't miss a beat. We went out and we beat a Jaguars team that we should beat. And then if they lose on Thursday, you kind of have a built-in excuse. Oh, it was a short week. You know what I mean? It would be something that I don't think it would affect their confidence nearly as much if they beat the Jags and then they go lose to the Rams.
I agree. You'd still be 4-1 at that point. Yeah, of course, you'd like to have another NFC win, another NFC West win. I get that. But you'd still be 4-1, and nobody would shake a stick at 4-1, especially with all the injuries they have had. So I agree with you there. You split the next two, you're doing just fine. Modelo Time 1999 on Twitch says, I thought I read the Niners are the only team to not have a rushing touchdown this year. That's correct. You did read that. They are the only team without a rushing touchdown this year. They also have not had an interception in 10 straight games, Levin. That is one shy of the NFL record. They can tie, obviously, this week. Do you know who has that record?
Is it the 49ers from a couple of years ago when they only had 3 in the whole season?
No, it's the 2024 New York Giants.
Ah,
So
interesting.
the last 49er to have an interception is Isaac Yadam. The last current 49er to have an interception is Diamador Lenore and Jair Brown, who picked off Dak Prescott in week 8 last year. So other than that, nobody else.
This is not 49ers related.
All right.
But it is one of the most mind-blowing statistics I've ever heard. I heard it on Rich Eisen's show podcast on the way home today. Can you name any of the quarterbacks that through 3 weeks has 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns with no turnovers in NFL history? Any quarterback that's ever started a season through 3 games with 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, and no turnovers?
Josh Allen.
No.
Shut up. I don't know.
The list is one person, and it is Daniel Jones.
I knew that I was going to guess him, too.
Is that not insane?
That
Daniel Jones is the only person in NFL history to start a season as a quarterback with 3 rushing touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns and no turnovers in 3 games.
They have fewer turnovers than punts on the year, and they've only punted once in 3 weeks, which is crazy. All right, let's get back to this comment here. Lettuce49 says, next man up will be fine without Bosa. If I've learned anything watching us lose 3 Super Bowls in my fanhood, it's how to disassociate. As long as Purdy and Warner don't get hurt, we are okay. You know, if you were making a list of the people that the 49ers could not afford to get hurt this season, who would it have been? Brock Purdy, Nick Bosa, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Fred Warner, George Kittle, right? Those are probably the first 6 people you would name. Well, Brock's been hurt. Kittle's been hurt. Bosa's gone. Like, damn it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some wiggle room on those being the first 6. Like Lenore, I would probably put in my top 6 personally. But
who are you taking out of the guys I named?
I mean, I would potentially say Purdy because this offense has shown even with mediocre quarterbacks, they can still do enough. I'm not saying that they could go win a Super Bowl without Purdy, but they could sustain an injury to Purdy, I think, more than they could sustain an injury to a lot of those guys. Other than him, I probably would honestly argue Christian McCaffrey as well because they showed with Jordan Mason they can get enough production out of their running back without him.
Their run blocking this year has been just
Yeah.
Frustrating. That's all hell, to be sure. Okay, so you're not with me on my Brock Purdy theory, for the record.
I mean, sort of, kind of. It's kind of like, I think it's a little too nail in the head, but I do think the team needs to eliminate doubt right now.
A nice win against the Jags would certainly do it. I like that this game is at home, especially because if you look at the schedule, they're going back out on the road after this game. Now, if you want to count Levi South as a home game, I understand. Technically, it is a road game. Then they're in Tampa. Then they're home for the Falcons, but then they're on the road again for Houston and New York. So there are a lot of games on the road. I like that this one is at home. Chance to get to 4-0. You know, Kyle was talking about the Jags offense today. He said, or the defense, I should say, he said that they know how to get to the quarterback, which is true. And then if you get behind the sticks at all, they're bringing crazy pressure. I don't know if that's going to be good or bad. I think obviously it depends on who the quarterback is for the 49ers. But they could, if they play with their food, they should win this game. But if they play with their food, they'll lose it.
Please don't lose to Trevor Lawrence. Like, please don't. He's literally the most overpaid player in the league right now.
It's the Eric Armstead revenge game.
Huh. Yeah, that would be interesting. Maybe he stays in San Francisco after the game.
Right?
I like the contract. No chance.
Oh, man. I wouldn't hate that, though. I still like that. He's just a freaking good football player for a really long time, man. Not like a superstar, but just really good.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what he is. he's one of those, he'll go into the Hall of Very Good.
Yep.
He was never elite, but he was consistently a very good borderline Pro Bowl player for literally a decade straight.
And filled multiple roles, worked inside, worked outside. It's interesting. It's, Michael Williams is kind of doing the same thing, right? Working inside sometimes, working outside other times. I'm so excited about him, by the way. I cannot wait to watch him. Please, please, please stay healthy, Michael Williams, because I feel like your arrow is just every week you could see him getting better. It's wild, man.
He's one of those man amongst boys.
Yeah.
Like you see, he's just at a different level than the average NFL player.
Remember the first week we were like, where was Michael Williams? I didn't even notice him. Now you're watching him, you're like, run stuff. Michael Williams, there he is. Oh, he split another double team. Michael Williams. Oh, he tracked down Kyler Murray, 2 yards past the line of scrimmage on a run. It's like, you don't have any trouble finding 98 now. I didn't know what number Michael Williams was wearing. I know it's 98 now.
What is your favorite 49ers number 98 player in their history?
God, dude, I don't know. Was Manny Lawson was 99, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, it was the linebacker there.
Harrelson?
No, what the guy that Peterson.
Julian Peterson is the top for me. I was so mad when he left. That's why it came to mind. It was somebody that, hey, they drafted somebody and he's really good. Oh, they decided, screw you, go play for the division rival. Like, what?
Apparently, people in the chat keeping the faith. Oscar Alfaro, they were all over it. And no, before you ask, I did not look at the chat for the answer. I pulled it from my own. All right, we'll get to a little fact or fiction in a minute. But first, I want to give a shout out to Sleeper. Thank you so much, Sleeper, for coming on board. If you want to make money playing and making picks this year in the NFL or any sport, really, do it with Sleeper. And if you use our code GSP, you can get up to a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. So please do it. I have the app on the screen. It's super easy. You see all the sports here at the top that I'm scrolling through. You just pick your sport. The games pop right up, and it's easy. You just pick higher or lower on any of the categories that they have. They have more categories than anybody else. If you shop around, there's no way you can't find something that you like. Whatever it is, whether it's a 49ers pick or another pick, there's going to be something where you're like, oh, that's got to be a mistake. Boom. You pick higher or lower. You got to pick at least 2 teams. That's the only thing. So you can't just pick all 49ers or all Seahawks or whatever. You got to pick 2 teams. You can mix and match sports if you want. That's totally cool too. You make your pick. And if your picks are right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. I know I did not misspeak. 1,000 times your money. You could do picks ahead of time. You could do live picks during a game if that's what you like to do. I don't do so much the live picks during the game. I have to say, 11. I don't know. Do you do that? I just do the picks ahead of time.
In the Super Bowl, I will.
Really? Even if
the Niners not like ever. Yeah, if it's the Niners, I'm probably not doing anything during the game because I want to concentrate on the game. But sometimes, yeah, I'll put in a live thing during the Super Bowl.
I did not know that about you. Anyway, again, use our promo code GSP. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right, Levin, let's get into a little fact or fiction here. Haven't shown these to you ahead of time. You have no idea what they are. You have no idea what's coming. We did this with Jason and Steph last week. People seem to really like it. So let's dive right in. Here we go. Let me get to my written out questions, which have now disappeared. Well, that's certainly convenient.
You doing facts for fiction has been proven fiction.
Where did they go? I had a whole bunch written out. All right, well, I'll make them up on the spot.
Fiction.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Fact or fiction? The 49ers need to start Brock Purdy this week against the Jaguars.
Need to? That's too strong. I'll say fiction on that one. Much preferred? Yeah.
The 49ers
potentially retrospect need? Yeah, but no. Like I think this week they could win with Mac Jones. And hey, who doesn't want to see Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence, decide who the best quarterback is from that class?
How about if I said the 49ers should start Brock Purdy this week?
Absolutely. They're both banged up. You might as well go with your starter.
Here's the thing that worries me with that. I'm going to say fiction because this is what scares me.
You would.
Shut up. You haven't played Brock Purdy, right? He hasn't played since the turf toe. Do you want his first action since the turf toe to come in this game, and then 4 days later, he immediately has to play again? Wouldn't you rather his first action be on the Thursday night game, and then you give him the mini bye to rest before he then puts that toe and that foot under more stress in game number 2?
Ideally, yeah, but if he's healthy, he's healthy. And I personally think he's like 99% healthy. I think he could have played last week, but they looked at it and said, we're 2-0. It's not a tough opponent. Let's go ahead and try to get by with Mac Jones. We have room for error. And yes, I said the Cardinals are not a tough opponent. I don't think they're that good.
Jay Glazer did report that if it was a playoff game, Brock Purdy would have played. So
exactly.
Take that for what it's worth. I always call Jay Glazer a football groundhog because he breaks like one massive story a year and then we never hear anything from him the rest of the time. Good news, Levin. I found my list. So here we go. Fact or fiction? Nick Bosa's injury will keep the 49ers out of the playoffs.
Fiction. In a more normal schedule season, I could potentially buy that as a fact. But with this schedule, no. And the fact that they're 3-0, if they're a 1-2, maybe even 2-1, I would probably waffle a little bit. But this one, like at 3-0, if they lose the playoffs, like that's an epic collapse with this schedule.
Assuming nobody else gets hurt.
I mean, that's always the caveat. If you end up losing some big names for the season, yeah.
I would agree with you. I think this is fiction. I think the 49ers are going to make the playoffs. It's not going to be easier. Obviously, it's going to get more difficult with Bosa being out, but they don't take the 3 wins they have away, right? If this was week 1, maybe, but you're already a third of the way there. A third of the way there. They can do it, and I think they're going to do it. So I'm going to say that is fiction. All right, next up, fact or fiction? The 49ers need to make a trade for another pass rusher.
I'm going to play Nostradamus and say that that's fact. I don't know that they need to do it now. I think what they're going to do, and I think it's the wise thing, is see how it plays out over the next couple weeks before the trade deadline. If they're struggling to get pressure, then they need to go trade for somebody. I think that they won't be quite as happy with what they're getting, and they'll be a little worried about one more injury to a defensive end, and they're screwed. And so they'll end up going and getting somebody. Now, is it going to be a big name? I highly doubt it because they've already devoted too much money to that position. Like I was looking at it, and Barrows talked about it in his mailbag today, and I was actually kind of surprised with some of the people he brought up because I was like, they can't afford that. I don't think he put enough thought into this. He didn't get into the contract stuff, so that tells me I don't think he had time to look. But he was talking about like Bradley Chubb. It's like, okay, Bradley Chubb would have a cap hit of a little over $20 million next year, and about 19.5 the year after that. Huff is going to have a cap hit it's not quite as high, but pretty close to that next year. It's like technically they could cut Huff and not owe him anything, but they're not going to. I mean, he's clearly shown his worth. Like they're not going to go trade for a third expensive pass rusher because Bosa will be back next year. If somebody was in their last year of being expensive, I could see them saying, yeah, we're going to spend $15 million over the rest of this season to get the guy. But those guys don't exist this year. It is a little bit of a weird year where there's not like this, okay, this guy was expensive. He's an aging vet. He's not going to get another big contract. He's in the final year of his deal. Go get him. There's not a great one. The best one I found that's cheap and like kind of fits the bill of, all right, this guy could be a situational pass rusher and give us just a little bit more depth is Matthew Judon, who's actually a teammate of Bradley Chubb's now. But he hasn't been very good in recent years, but he's on the final year of his deal, and it's only like $3 million salary for this season. So it should cost next to nothing. Like you could probably get him for a 6th or 7th round pick, but that gives you just like a little bit more depth with a guy that is still, he's not great anymore, but he had greatness in his past. And he still like does okay. Like he would be good as a rotational pass rusher. That's who I think they should be targeting. They're not going to target an expensive guy.
Well, that's the frustrating thing, is that Bosa gave you like everything you would want from a rotational pass rusher, and then also played the run incredibly well. Like you almost lost two players in a sense with him going down. I will say that this is fiction, but I'm going to put a massive caveat on it. It's fiction because I think they could still make the playoffs, and I think that was sort of the 49ers mentality before the year began. Just make the playoffs and we'll roll the dice and see what happens. And I don't think that ceiling is lowered without Nick Bosa. But to really challenge for a Super Bowl, yes, they would have to go out and trade for another pass rusher. Because especially when you get to the playoffs, you're going to be facing the best quarterbacks. You need a guy that can flat out win, that can win against the double team in a crucial spot. You need to have that guy. Personally, I think that guy is Trey Hendrickson. I'd be fascinated to see what it would take as a 1 year, not to re-sign him, just for this year. Could they do it? I don't know. I don't know what Cincinnati would want. I think it depends on how the Niners do the next couple of weeks and how Cincinnati does. So I think that's part of it too.
I don't know that Hendrickson will want that, because I don't know that he's going to want to change scenery and potentially like go into the unknown where it's like, well, they didn't utilize me in the right way and now they tanked my value.
Yeah, but he's done enough to where I don't know how much his value. Like, I think people would say, yeah, he wasn't great with the 49ers. He got traded in the middle of the year. It was a crazy thing. I don't know that it would hurt unless he like totally went into the tank, but I just don't see that happening. I have faith in.
I don't remember exactly what they did. I know they did something right before the season with his contract. I can't remember if it was just they gave him a bunch more money this season or if they added a year.
No, that it's just this year. He's scheduled to hit the open market next year, which is why I think he's got a void year next year for $6.5 million. His cap number this year is $25.1 million.
How much is salary?
His base salary is 16.
Yeah, so it would cost the Niners at this point about a little less than 13 million.
I think if they want to like legitimately challenge for a Super Bowl, they do need to make a trade. If they're just willing to say, hey, let's get to the playoffs and see what happens, then no, then I don't think they do. So I know that was kind of riding the fence on that. I apologize, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Now, next up, fact or fiction, Levin. This is the best coaching job Kyle Shanahan has ever done with the 49ers. I know it's early.
Fiction. 2019 is probably the best he's done. And that season went almost so perfectly. One, just on record. Two, the offense, as we just talked about, they were second in the league in points. This offense is not going to rebound to be second in the league in points. Like it's just they can't reach the 2019 level in terms of Shanahan's offense was just firing on all cylinders, and they were winning a ton of games.
Well, that is true. It's interesting, though. I thought you would point to 2022 rather than 2019. 2022, they went into the playoffs on a 10-game win streak, and I think 8 of those 10 came with third-string rookie quarterback, last pick in the draft, Brock Purdy, thrust into a starting role. I continue to say Kyle Shanahan should have been coach of the year in 2022. It's ridiculous that he didn't win, in my opinion. They gave it to, I think, Brian friggin' Daboll. How's that looking right now, by the way? But here's why I might say fact this year. The offense, I agree, is not going to put up the numbers of maybe some of those other years. At least we don't think so right now. But I think something switched situationally with him. I think he is better. I think he is more buttoned up. The 2-minute drives this year have been on point. The way he handled the final possession for the Cardinals, how he used his timeouts perfectly, to the fact that they didn't even need the final timeout, really, in the last possession going down the field. The way on that 4th down play to Pearsall, he knew he planned to go for that ahead of time. That's why they called just a basic run on 3rd down, because he knew he was going to go for it. And after the pass to Pearsall, everybody hurried to the line and they had a play ready to go so that they could snap it, so that they couldn't have time to review it. I think something maybe has changed. Maybe he has finally been listening to our shows, Levin, where we have been preaching this forever. But I think that's better. And if that's true, this could be his best coaching job.
I do think that I wouldn't say changed. Something snapped in him, and he now has a fuck them kickers attitude. He does
Okay.
not trust kicker. He will not trust a kicker. I think that's permanently been severed, and that's why he's going for it more and forth. He's saying, I think we have a 70-80% chance of converting this fourth down, and we only have like a 70 or 80% chance of making the field goal anyway, so we might as well go for it.
Whatever it took. I don't care if that's what it took. It's worth it to me. I absolutely.
Thank you, Jake Moody. That's what you should be saying.
Maybe. I mean, he went for it on fourth down multiple times, even on the possession they got stopped, Levin. How many times have we seen him cart out the kicker for a 25-yard field goal, whatever it was? He loves to do that in that spot, but he didn't. In a game where nobody was scoring, he still tried to go for it with a backup quarterback. Yes, thank you, Kyle.
Is it the Robert Saleh effect? Maybe Saleh's
could be
calling him out, calling him a basic bitch, and getting him to go for it on fourth down.
Wanted to say that again, didn't you? Here's another thing that I want to know, actually. I like this comment from Mike UA. Says, YouTube channel member, by the way. It says, Kyle doesn't have to carry his defensive coordinator anymore. Just think how much better Rob could be at his podcast if he didn't have to carry Levin.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to have to bleep something else, or should I not respond?
Thank you, Mike. I'm glad somebody finally sees and acknowledges this.
Hit pause on the show. I gotta go ban this guy. Where's this comment?
I think that's interesting, though. Like, I hadn't thought of it from that perspective, but maybe part of it's true, especially with the way the first couple of weeks have gone, where Kyle is like, I don't got to do anything. Like, he's got it. Look, I mean, they're shutting people down. I don't think the 49ers have gotten enough credit. They gave up 13 points, 21 points, and 15 points so far this year. I think they're like third or fourth in points allowed per game so far. And you could say they're not playing anybody, whatever, all that's true. But from Kyle's perspective, maybe that's true. Maybe he's like literally, especially now that Saleh has been a head coach and now maybe Shanahan's like, he understands my perspective a little more. Do whatever you want, dude. I'm going to work on the offense. I'm going to work on the game management. Maybe that's why it's different this year.
You can think that, but I would argue that it goes the other way. If you have a defense you can't trust, that's a reason to be uber aggressive on offense. Well, you have to score as many points as possible because you can't trust the defense to stop the other team. So, like, last year should have been the year that he was going for it on every single fourth down in an opponent's territory because you couldn't trust the defense to stop them.
Joseph Ernberg says, Levin carries Rob every show.
The show is saved. Joseph has saved the show.
Mike says, Levin, just joking. Really enjoy you both. Don't do that, Mike. We know the truth. The other thing I wanted to say about that Pearsall play, and I don't know where this comes from, but I hope somebody asks Mac if he talks. Did you notice Mark Sanchez pointed this out on the broadcast? They went quick count right before that play on fourth down where what the heck's the center's name? Oh, my God. I keep thinking Weston Richburg. Brendel is the center now. He hung back. He was the last offensive lineman to get to the line of scrimmage. He was talking with Mac, and then as soon as he touched the ball, he snapped it right away. They went fast. There was no snap count or cadence or anything. Was that a Kyle Shanahan call, or was that a Mac Jones thing that he decided, or was that Brendel's idea? I don't know, but I thought that was really interesting too. And if that was Kyle's thing, oh my God, then he would really be on fire. He'd be really in his bag.
Well, that's what we want to see. I mean, that's what we've said, especially last year, was there seemed to be like a lack of creativity. There wasn't new like wrinkles that Kyle had come up with. It was just the same stuff. You know, like it seemed like in the past, especially the first early years, it was like every year, here's a new wrinkle that they'll break out when they really need something. You know, like in the early years, it was the tight end leak out. And we didn't see almost any creativity. It was, oh, Debo, wide receiver screen, please do something with it. Oh, crap, you didn't. We're screwed.
You know what's funny? I had to go buy a suit today because I got a wedding coming up this weekend, and I had this shirt on, my homage Tecmo Bowl 49ers shirt. And the guy that I was talking to help me find the suit was like, hey, why'd you get rid of Debo? And I was like, Are we really going to get into this now? So, like, in the middle of the store, I'm like sitting talking. I'm like, look, he wasn't playing hard. He was out of shape. Like, I'm going through the whole Debo thing.
Did you buy a bright orange suit a la Dumb and Dumber?
A la Mac Jones, apparently, as he's walking into the stadium. No, just simple black, basic bitch black.
Yeah, we know who the real one is here.
Oh, please. Like, you're walking around in the Dumb and Dumber suit.
What suit did I wear when we went to the Super Bowl? Was I wearing just your basic black suit? No, I had a gray suit.
Oh, wow, gray. What a rebel you are.
Hey, I had to color match with my hair.
All right. Can we finish up the fact or fiction here? Fact or fiction, the 49ers were right to release Eric Armstead when they did.
No question. One, he's not worth he's at the level now where it's like, yeah, you still want him on your team, but you don't want to pay him premium. He's not good enough to make he's not a difference maker anymore. And they couldn't afford him. Like, you have to get rid of some of your good players that are going to be expensive. You can't afford them all. And that was absolutely the player to choose.
I completely agree with you. It's definitely fact. I just thought of another fact or fiction that I will now throw to you off the cuff. Fact or fiction? The biggest improvement that comes with George Kittle's return is actually in the ground game.
I'll say fact, but I think it will look like fact, but may potentially be fiction. And I'll say I think it will look like fact because I think they'll figure out the run game, for one. For two, Kittle's importance to the passing game becomes slightly less, like either the same week or the very next week, because Aiyuk returns. And Pearsall has, shown like, yeah, I was drafted in the first round for a reason. So it's kind of like, but I think the purpose of signing Farrell was to make Kittle an offensive weapon and not just, hey, he blocks and he's really important to the run game and we get him some passes when we can afford to let him run pass routes. I think it was to free him up to run pass routes all the time and be like a focal point of the passing game. So I think Kyle will still try to make him the focal point of the passing game, but it's going to look like he's super important to the run game because they're probably going to figure out the run game and everybody's going to be like, oh, look, he's back. And now suddenly they can run again.
It's interesting. Yeah, the timing there could coexist. Do you think that, and by the way, I will say fact, I think it will help the ground game more than anything. Do you think Pearsall's play in the first 3 weeks has done anything to change Kyle's mind? Like, oh, maybe we should run the offense through Pearsall instead of Kittle. Still use Kittle, of course, but with the way Pearsall is playing, maybe has he earned like level 1 status, so to speak?
Has it changed? Probably slightly, I would say. Yeah, it's probably changed a little. The thing is Pearsall's running the routes that Aiyuk runs. So what's going to happen when Aiyuk returns?
And how quickly can Aiyuk return to being Aiyuk too? Not just get on the field again, but actually look good. I think we're all correctly assuming it's probably going to take a while, and he may not ever get back to that this year, if ever at all, to be honest. We could be wrong though. Maybe he comes back and he looks great. I don't know. It's possible. We've seen guys do.
I mean, we can run a fact or fiction that if Pearsall continues to do this, Aiyuk should not get that role back in the offense. He should have to figure out something else. I say that, but Pearsall is the one that I think makes more sense in the slot. Aiyuk is not a slot receiver. He is somebody that getting off the line and being unorthodox to get separation is a big reason why he's so good. It's not, ooh, I ran a slant and I'm really good at it. It's his downfield cuts and things like that. Like Pearsall, if I'm not mistaken, was a slot receiver a lot in college. And yet, if Pearsall's on pace for like 1,600 yards, you don't necessarily want to disrupt that.
It's an interesting question. I mean, and are you saying like even if Aiyuk returned to full strength Aiyuk, assume for the purposes of this?
The thing is how do you know if he's full strength if he's not running
right
what he does best? That's what I'm saying. Like when he returns, you're either not going to give Aiyuk a true shot, or you're bumping Ricky Pearsall from something that he's been incredibly productive in. Like, you have to make that choice.
I'm a big believer in, how I am, right? If you're on a streak and you think you're on that streak because you're not wearing any underwear, you are, right? If you think you're on that streak because you haven't shaved in a week and a half, you are. Just leave it alone. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Pearsall looks incredible this year. He looks friggin' amazing. I don't know why you would want to change that, to be honest. Keep Pearsall wide receiver 1. Don't put as much on Brandon Aiyuk's plate, right? If he's, working his way back from the injury, don't ask him to be Superman. Ask him to be Booster Gold if you're a comic book fan. If you're not a comic book fan, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But, you know what I'm saying? Let Brandon Aiyuk be wide receiver 2 this year. You drafted Pearsall for a reason, and every time you put more on his plate, he responds exactly the way you would hope. So I'd be totally fine with that.
It will be interesting to see, because I think Aiyuk is really good in that role, and I don't necessarily envision him being very good in the other roles. I don't think he's great at slants and the shorter routes. That is not his cup of tea. I think probably the way you do it is when he does come back, you kind of let them split that role. And if Aiyuk seems to be back, then maybe you start working him more and more into that role and letting Pearsall figure out the other role. And if Aiyuk doesn't look good, then you start going the other way and you start phasing him kind of out of the offense.
Well, God knows they would love to trade him if they could. But if you put Pearsall in the slot, who's your other receiver out wide? You can't put Jennings out there.
You got Robinson. You got Jennings is playing that other role a lot. I know he does slot too. You got Bourne. And if Watkins ever gets back, you can see what he does. I think they have plenty of options.
Strawberry React says you can run 4 wide receiver sets with Pearsall, Aiyuk, Juwan Jennings, and Demarcus Robinson. Be interesting. I wouldn't mind it once in a while. There's no reason.
I'll believe it when I see it.
There's no reason you can't do that some of the time, right? There's ways to do it for sure. But also, I don't want Jennings on the field over George Kittle. I don't want Jennings on the field over a Christian McCaffrey. Say, if you were to go 5 wide, I guess you could put McCaffrey in one of the receiver spots if you wanted to, so you don't really have to choose. But Juwan Jennings has a place on this team, but I don't want him taking away significant snaps and opportunities from any of the other guys, their other offensive playmakers. Maybe even including Demarcus Robinson. I'm really interested to see Robinson in the offense. He looked good in the preseason. He's just a solid veteran player. I don't think he's going to be a superstar, but he's dude, last week, they were Sky Moore and MVS are out there running routes in the 2-minute drive. Got to have it drive. No, man, you got to have somebody out there that's a legitimate threat. And Demarcus Robinson is that.
Who do you cut if everybody stays healthy and Aiyuk returns?
Oh, MVS.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
MVS or Sky Moore.
Sky Moore is doing the return duties. MVS is not doing anything for this offense. One, Kyle doesn't really run. MVS is, here's a go route.
Cardio. That's what he does.
Yeah, Kyle doesn't do go routes a ton.
I agree. Benali says Pearsall's separation stats aren't anything special. His expected catch percentage is good, not great. Aiyuk was blowing other wide receivers out of the water on those metrics. That's true. He was separating more. But remember, the separation statistics are only counted on passes on which the guy is targeted. So if you blow your if you crush somebody off the line of scrimmage, but the quarterback doesn't throw to you for whatever reason, that doesn't get counted. I don't know. I just, at this point, I have way more faith in Ricky Pearsall, who's on the field doing it this year, as opposed to Brandon Aiyuk, who's entirely hypothetical because we don't know about that knee.
And it was a really bad knee injury. It's not a Nick Bosa where, he barely tore it.
Well, this year it's not Nick Bosa. His second ACL was really bad. This one appears to be clean. Kyle Shanahan talked a little bit about that today.
Yeah, there's an added wrinkle to that, though, that Barrows got into, and I appreciated that he tried to educate people on that just because it's clean this time doesn't mean it's an easy fix, because the problem is they have to, basically drill a hole to attach when they fix it. And he's already had that. So theoretically, they've already chosen the best possible spot in his knee to fix that. And they're going to have to choose a less than desirable spot to fix that.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, no, that's what it's. If his contract wasn't what it was, like if they could get out of his contract and break even and trade him for like a first round pick, I probably would, but they can't. Like his contract means he's here for 2 years, period, minimal.
Well, and it's interesting too, because we had talked about how they were going to renegotiate with him because his cap hit is like 20 million this year, but it jumps up to 40 million next year. And we all figured, oh, they'll restructure that, no problem. Does this change how they do that? Does this, I mean,
that's what I was looking at. Like if they change that, it's by basically kicking the can down the road. They could potentially push 20 million of his base salary into a signing bonus, which then pushes into the void years left on his contract, which would mean 20 million goes to 4 million cap hit. They save 16 million next season.
Right.
The problem is that makes every single other year more expensive. And like the year after next year, it's like 38 million or something like that. So it's not like you're wanting to kick 4 million extra into all those years. Plus the void years are already carrying a pretty big dead cap hit in their void years. So you're going to have that dead cap hit.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. By the way, I saw like this weird thing. It was like, oh, the 49ers have insurance with Bosa's contract and they're going to save $7 million. And then somebody posted a picture of like Kyle and Parag and Lynch and the front office people. And they were like, the 49ers are masters of contract insurance and they've saved $50 million off the cap on all the insurance policies on all these deals because guys keep getting hurt. And it's like, they shouldn't be applauded for that. How about they get guys that don't get hurt, or at the very least, keep the guys they have healthy? Let's applaud them for that instead of, oh, they saved money on the salary cap with their insurance policies on the contract. Like that just seemed really weird.
Hold on. I think that's a mistake. You can have an insurance policy where the owner gets to save money, but it's not salary cap savings. The salary cap hit is the salary cap hit.
Well,
injuries don't change the salary cap hit.
That's not the stories that I was reading.
I'm going to have to look that up because I have never heard of a salary cap injury fixing other than like game bonuses being worked into the contract. Obviously, a game bonus when you're not active because you're hurt, yeah, that saves you money in the salary cap because they're not earning that game bonus.
Well, I don't know how the official, what the official.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go read the CBA now to see what it's on.
But what I was seeing, was that they saved like $7 million because of the insurance. Regardless, I don't want to applaud them for that. I want to applaud them for not needing those insurance policies. That's the ultimate key. That's where we really want to get to for what it's worth. Brisbee Life says there's ESPN had an article on it a while back. I believe it was one thing to read this week in 49ers in 5, which, maybe you should start listening to. Maybe. Just saying.
I'll get right on that.
Yeah, see, that is the smug attitude. Let's go to this comment. Aaron Rodriguez says, hey, Rob, do you think Moody would have lost us the game last Sunday? Well, kicker update. Yes. That's the update. Yes. There's no way they win last week. No way he makes the kick before halftime. No way he makes the kick at the end of the game. No freaking way. And definitely no way he makes both.
Yeah, no. Put it this way, as soon as the safety happened, I would have said, yep, game's over because they need a touchdown. They're not going to get it.
I still think that it should not have been a safety on Dominic Pundy's hold.
It should not have. I don't know why there hasn't been more made of that.
That was a huge play in the game. That could have potentially won the game for the Cardinals. He doesn't hold in the end zone. He holds like at the 3, whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, you can watch it back. He releases the hold long before they're in the end zone.
Yes.
The thing that happens, I think, is the referee and the back judge, who's responsible for calling holding usually, Where he's at, it's the back judge, and then a little bit in front and to the side of him is the defensive player. And on the far side of that, at the same angle, so a little bit further up into the end zone and to the right, is Pooney. So he couldn't really see what Pooney was doing to the player. And the player got, ironically, juked by Mac Jones and kind of like tripped on his own foot and fell. And I think the back judge thought Pooney was holding him and throwing him off balance because he didn't have the angle to see. He saw Pooney is holding him at one point, and then Pooney is right next to him, and the player kind of falls in a weird way. And I think the ref assumed he must have been continuing to hold.
I wish on that particular play you could go to replay review because
that's what it drives me nuts. Like, you don't have to make holding reviewable, but you can make the spot of holding reviewable.
Right. The whole crux of the play is did this occur in the end zone or not? And it is a scoring play, and all scoring plays are supposed to be reviewable. So we should be able to go to the tape on that and say, where did this occur? Here or here? Because it's not subjective, right? I mean, I feel like it's pretty objective. Was this in the end zone or was it out of the end zone?
No.
It could have cost the 49ers the game. And if they had lost and when I went back and watched and saw that play, I would have been irate. I would have been furious if that was the case. But luckily, we don't have to live in that world because the 49ers, despite that and despite the interception on the possession before, came back and won the game.
Thank you, Mac Jones.
Benali says it was a safety, a bit cloudy, but by the letter of the law, it's a safety. I don't believe it is. I know, there's been some dispute about this. Croc was saying that if the quarterback is in the end zone when the hold occurs, it's a safety. I don't think that's correct. I look at the NFL rule. It has to be in the end zone.
Yeah, I don't. At least that's not how I've ever. And I did at one point read the NFL rule book. That was like 20 years ago when I didn't have work to go to, and had time to read an NFL rule book. But that's not how it was written, at least back then. And I've never heard anybody interpret it as it's where the quarterback is. They've always said where the hold occurs.
I went and found the rule and tweeted it to Crocker because I guess he knows a like a varsity referee somewhere that said that if the quarterback is in the end zone, it is a penalty. But again, I don't think it's right.
You mean like a high school varsity referee?
I don't know what level it was at, but here is
I don't care unless it's NFL level because the rule books are different between the levels. As the rookie running back of the Steelers now knows because he didn't field a kickoff because in college it's dead if it bounces in the end zone.
The rule says it is a safety if the spot of enforcement for a foul by the offense is behind its own goal line or if the ball is dead in possession of a team on or behind its own goal line when the impetus comes from the team defending that goal line. If the offense commits a foul behind its own goal line, it is a safety if the defense elects to enforce the penalty at that spot. It doesn't say anything about the quarterback having to be in the end zone. The penalty, to me, has to be in the end zone.
Yeah, that's how it's always been interpreted and phrased. I don't know why they did not go back to that. Like, for one, just make every single type of spotting reviewable. Like, get the spot correct. You want to have a bad call still enforced because you don't want to hurt the referee's feelings because it was a subjective thing. Whatever. But make sure the spot is correct. Because there's nothing worse than this was a bad call and they effed up the spot.
Yeah, they're getting there, right? They're using the Hawkeye thing. They're getting there. It's going to take a few more years, but eventually we'll get to where we should have been all along. Just like Major League Baseball. They're going to make balls and strikes reviewable next year. Like we're slowly inching to where we would have been always if the technology had existed when the sport was invented. That is my biggest point there. And Benali correctly points out that Mac Jones has got to get rid of that ball. Like you have to get rid of that ball in that spot. Although to be fair to him, he didn't get sacked in the end zone. Somehow he got out of that, but still, that's not your game, Mac. That is not your game.
No, Purdy probably would have done the same thing. He wouldn't have gotten rid of the ball. He would have danced around in the end zone. But
Yeah,
that's Purdy. He's able to get away with it.
he would have got out of the end zone faster. Like he actually can escape those things. By the way, one more quick point before we wrap up. I forgot to mention this earlier when we were talking about the Shanahan coaching thing. One other reason why I think this might be his best coach year is all three of the games that they have won this year are not the games that Kyle Shanahan wants to play. Kyle Shanahan wants to run the ball 40 times. He wants to hit you with play action, and he wants to control time of possession and wear you down like that. And he wants to force you to have to pass on the, when your offense gets the ball so you can rush 4 and keep 7 back in coverage, or 8 or 7, however many other guys there are in the field. I don't know. That wasn't what the first 3 games were. The first 3 games were, we can't run the ball at all. We have to drop back and throw it 40 times, and we have to grind it out and win with special teams. Like, to be able to win 3 games playing the complete opposite way that you are built and want to play, I give him credit for that. He adapted. He didn't stick with the run and try and just be stubborn about it. He did throw it 40 times, even though his backup quarterback was in there, and it worked.
I think he always planned on passing more. And he has said that, like, when he has a quarterback he trusts, he'll pass more. He has flat out said that he runs so much. Well, he doesn't put it that way. He doesn't put it in the negative light of putting somebody down saying, I run so much because I don't have a quarterback I trust. He has said, when I have a quarterback that I trust, I'm willing to pass more.
But I don't think he's passed more in these 3 weeks because he trusts Mac Jones more than Brock Purdy.
Game script has affected it, yes.
He's said we couldn't run the ball. And then, like, if you throw incomplete on first down and you can't run the ball on second down, you got to throw on third down because it's too long to run. I think he's gotten himself into those situations sometime. John Brown says, huge Brock fan, not a Mac fan. Love to see the 2-minute drills out of Purdy like Mac has. Yeah, kind of agree. Like,
yeah.
Hope you're taking notes, Brock, because Mac has been doing the damn thing. Filthy Casual says, if Kyle isn't succeeded in what he wants to do, how is this his best coaching performance? Because he's adapting on the fly and adjusting based on what he has seen during the game, is what I would say. And he's still finding a way to succeed. It's one thing if what you draw up the week works perfectly, and you deserve credit for that also. But there's also, no game plan survives contact with the enemy. No battle plan survives contact with the enemy. And he's able to adapt despite maybe planning something else all week, and it's still finding a way to work. So that's why I think he deserves the credit.
I do think he has changed in one aspect. In the past, when they pass on first down and it's second and 10, he has said, let me play it safe and run on second down to make it 2nd and 7 or less.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a 3rd and 10. This year, a lot of times when it's 2nd and 10, he doesn't trust the run to get enough, so he's been passing again. And that's in 2nd and 10, pass twice. When you have a running back like Christian McCaffrey, you have him sit in the flat, and it is, we're going to try to pass and get the first down now on second down. If it doesn't work, we will dump it down to Christian McCaffrey and get the same exact effect we would have had if we ran the ball.
Or if you're passing on 2nd and 10 because you want to get it to 3rd and short, to where even if your run game doesn't pick up that many yards, you can still run it and get a first down because you only need 2, And I feel like that the Niners were able to get some first downs on the ground that way because it was like 3rd and 2. So you just run it. And yeah, you only get 3 yards, but it's that 3-yard run is then successful because it moves the chains for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of strategies out there that I think other teams could employ. Like, for instance, Philly, they had a 1st and goal from the 5, and I thought, why wouldn't you just do the tush push 4 times? You know what I mean?
Look, I can't say anything about the Eagles. They're Super Bowl champions, and they haven't lost this year. But it does feel like their offense, like their goal is just to get it to 3rd and short and 4th and short so they could run the tush push. And it's like, throw the ball to A.J. Brown. He's really good. But they seem like they would rather do it that way than throw the ball a bunch of times, which is crazy to me because their weapons are really, really good.
I don't think they fully trust Jalen Hurts as a passer. I don't think they think he's a terrible passer. There's obviously some level of trust there, but I think they more take a philosophy of, if we can run the ball, including with Hurts, to avoid a 3rd and long, we need to do that every single time because Hurts and 3rd and long is not something we want.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say this to Philadelphia. Thank you for the blocking those kicks against the Rams. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I was loving that. Put me in a great mood before kickoff. So we appreciate the help. That's going to do it for this edition of the show. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. If this is your first time watching, welcome. Happy to have you. Please stick around. We're live every single weekday. We go live immediately after the game. We're live after all big 49ers breaking news as well. Just give us a chance. I promise you, you will come back. If you don't like me, there's other hosts on the channel. On Tuesdays, I don't even host a show. It's Stephanie.
Thank you.
Shut up. But there's plenty. It's a 49ers football buffet here. So if you don't like the chicken, try the fish. That's the only thing I'll say. Levin, thank you very much. Are you going to join for the instant reaction on Sunday?
Well, yeah, duh.
Are you going to join for the instant reaction Thursday after the Rams game?
Well, yeah, duh.
You say duh. I have to ask every week for a reason.
I know, because of my schedule.
That's right.
I am well aware. I think there might be one other game I'll miss this year, but the schedule was very favorable for me this year.
Good. All right. Well, hopefully we're talking about 2 wins. But please, if you only want to watch one other show, make it the instant reaction show, even if the 49ers lose. That is the best thing that we do. I think we do it better than anybody on the planet. Please, if that's the only other show you want to try, please go and do it. I promise we won't let you down. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody. We'll talk tomorrow.